Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Q&A for Living as Love with the guidance of the Enneagram, embodying love for personal awakening and global transformation. I'm Carrie Hernandez with the Shift Network, and it is my pleasure to be your host as we explore the teachings of Russ Hudson, Jessica Dibb, and Robert Holden, and address questions about their upcoming course, which begins on Thursday, March 12th, at 9 a.m. Pacific. If you're unable to join us live, you can still participate in this course, and I'll explain more about that later. But first, I want to introduce my guests. So, Russ Hudson is co-founder of the Enneagram Institute, is one of the principal scholars and innovative thinkers in the Enneagram world today. Jessica Dibb, host of the Breathwork Summit and the Enneagram Summit, is founder and principal teacher of the Inspiration Consciousness School. Russ and Jessica are beloved faculty here at the Shift Network and are joined by their dear friend and colleague, Robert Holden, best-selling author and highly regarded teacher. Robert's work on psychology and spirituality has been featured on The Oprah Winfrey Show, Good Morning America, the PBS special Shift Happens, and in two major BBC TV documentaries. What a gift it is to have all three of them together for this course. So please join me. Welcome, Robert, Jessica, and Russ.
So glad to be here with all of you.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us.
Wonderful. Well, now, Robert, I understand that you'll be leading us in an opening practice.
Yeah, let's do that. Only 2 hours ago, a new book arrived through the mail. It's called Finding Love Everywhere, 66 and a half wisdom poems and meditations to help you be the love you're looking for. So I thought it'd be appropriate if, as part of the centering, I share with you one of the poems from the book. In fact, it's the first poem in the book. Let's all take a moment together to recognize that we are joining together for an inquiry that is timely and relevant and full of possibility. Whenever we make some time to pay attention to love, and in particular to our relationship to love, good things happen. Let's take a nice deep breath together. Let's imagine for a moment that we are on the inhale, breathing in love. And let's allow this love to really move through our bodies so that we experience this love in our bones. With every exhale, let's relax into the moment. Again, on another inhale, let's imagine that we are making ourselves receptive and open to love and to everything that love wants us to know. And with every exhale, let's use this as an opportunity to relax, release, and let go of everything that is unnecessary or not helpful. One more time, let's breathe in and imagine that we are making ourselves truly receptive to the inspiration that is love, the guidance of love, and even to the intelligence of love. And with every exhale, once again, let's let go, relax, release, but also let's radiate this love out into the world right now. Whatever else happens, let's make sure that by joining together, we really are sending some love out into the world right now. It's always a good time to do that. This is a poem called Bring Love. Good news. I just got my invite, and I trust you did too. The world is throwing a party again tonight. Planets and stars will hang like bunting from the ceiling. Bees will bring honey. Cows and goats will bring milk. Flowers will bring perfume. And each worm will bring a doily made of silk. Vegetables and minerals will sit on every table. Grapes will make wine. Whales will recite sonnets from the deep, and dolphins will leap and play and have a great time. The wind and trees will make music. Birds, like the lark and the dove, will sing. All God's creatures will bring a little something. And humans will bring love. And humans will bring love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert. Oh, beautiful. Well, we will be spending the rest of our time together exploring questions for Jessica, Robert, and Russ if he's able to join us as we prepare for your video course, Living as Love with the Guidance of the Enneagram, which begins Thursday, March 12th, 9 a.m. Pacific. And please visit our website, which is livingaslovewithenneagram.com. I know it's a mouthful, but livingaslovewithenneagram.com to learn more about this 4-month course and find a link to register. All right, let's get started with our questions. And I want to thank all of you who have sent in questions ahead of time. And for those of you who are joining us live, please go ahead and type your questions into the chat and I'll read those aloud. All right, we're going to get started with some questions that came through our webcast. And this is from Mike. Put on my glasses. One of the hardest things to do with the Enneagram for me is to do my work, my own work, without using insights gleaned against others, especially those closest to us. My question is, how do we love our family members when we're constantly hitting upon growing pains and becoming more whole in ourselves at the cost of their comfort with how things have always been between us? How do we invite them to connect with us even as we set new boundaries in an effort to love ourselves? I'm a 9 with a 1 wing.
Well, I'm so touched by your question and just want to say that 9s have that desire to fulfill exactly what your vision is, that you want to be able to have your loved ones feel safe to connect with you, and yet you're growing to move out of your own fixation of sort of holding yourself back, hiding, not setting your own boundaries, not being your real self. And so you are at the perfect growth point for a 9, where you are both having yourself show up finally as you really are and valuing you, and at the same time not losing your desire, that incredibly beautiful warmth that 9s have, that they just want everyone to feel welcomed and connected with and safe. And if I may just offer what has worked for me and what I think works for many of my students is, instead of using the Enneagram to see our partners, our friends, our family members sort of fault lines, what is even more, I mean, that can be instructive in terms of if they ask us to partner with them in a conscious way around their own growth. And in terms of relatedness, though, what is very powerful is if we learn from the Enneagram what is the language that speaks to their type. What is the temperament that they have, and what is it looking for? And I never found anything as powerful as the Enneagram for helping to specify, if I could understand that when my one friend was what sounded like criticizing me, and I was taking it to be criticism, but when I could understand that at the heart of the one is a desire to have everyone be their best self in a way, or to have things be their best. And that if you really listen to a one, they'll tell you that's exactly why they think they're helping you by criticizing you. If I could look into that essence of them when they were doing a behavior that was troubling for me or painful for me, it completely revolutionized and transformed the way that I was relating to them. And then what I could bring to them for instance, if we just take the one again, is what the one is looking for is partnership around being responsible, partnership around getting things done. So if I moved out of myself that wanted to maybe just have a cozy little, tete-a-tete, an intimate conversation, and realized my one friend wanted us to kind of make something happen, clean this house, get a project done, write a speech for the mayor, whatever, while we were being intimate. And they then saw me as participating in things that mattered to them. I could still be myself and have my own boundaries, but I was also understanding their language. So there's not like just one thing is going to work. This is a work of love, is a work of art. Love is a never-ending story of the development in a creative way of a vast, infinite open-heartedness that includes boundaries, includes all the boundless dimensions. And I think relationship, and I know that Robert really agrees with me on this, and Russ too, that there's no more powerful place in the end to really, in a sense, measure ourselves, test our own progress about being loved and in relationship. And I feel like I have great faith that you're going to get to this place because you're bringing together both the care of the nine for the other and being your true self. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you so much. Robert, I didn't know if you had a response or if we should go to our next question.
I think Jessica answered that beautifully. Thank you, Jessica.
Wonderful. We're getting many questions about testing for one's Enneagram type. So how important is it to know one's type? And will this course support people in getting closer to understanding where they fit in the Enneagram system?
I think it's fair to say, Jessica, we would certainly recommend to everybody, if you haven't yet done a test, it would be really good to do a test. And the test at the Enneagram Institute, the RETI, RHETI, Riso Hudson Enneagram Type Indicator, is a great test to take. So I think that's a great place to begin. And then after that, of course, the great thing about a program like this is it hopefully will help you clarify what your type is, but also the wings of your type, and essentially the path of your type as well. So I think that would be my recommendation.
I'll just add to that yes, we really recommend the RETI test, and it has been studied by some organization in England that looks at all the personality tests and been given a very high scoring on that evaluation. And we all know that none of the tests are 100% foolproof. And so one of the things that, as Robert's saying, this course is going to do is take us through many of the facets of each type, from the fear to the core wound, from the basic fear to the core wound to the core essence, the gift of each type, the many of the pathways, as Robert was saying. And so it's okay if you don't know your type when you start the course. And in fact, Robert and Russ and I will all be talking about how, in many ways, we have to cultivate all 9 aspects of being and all 9 aspects of ourself, no matter what our type is. So it's a journey. And start with the test, and then it's going to go much deeper from there.
Thank you both for that guidance. Wonderful. Our next question is, I'm excited to learn more about how a type 4 navigates love. Can you give me a little sample of that?
Robert, you begin.
All right. Well, let's see. Maybe we could, as Jessica has just hinted at, we can look at the Enneagram in different ways. We can look at the Enneagram as a model of types, personality types, 9 of them. But we can also look at the Enneagram as a model of points, 9 points. In fact, the way I like to look at it is I like to imagine that the Enneagram really is a circle with 9 meditation seats sitting around it. Now, the meditation seat at point 4, which is highly relevant to people with a personality at type 4, but is actually completely relevant for all of us. Here we as we sit on this meditation seat, one of the meditations we may like to consider is the relationship between love and oneness. And in particular, that actually the best way to find love is to be willing to be the presence of love. If you are only looking for love, there's a great danger, if you like, that we stop being the loving person that we truly are. We put ourselves on hold and our life on hold, and we make this almost unconscious agreement that we're going to be really loving after we've found somebody who loves us. And of course, we've all heard about the law of attraction. And it's my experience actually coaching people that people who look for love often attract other people who are looking for love. And because both parties are looking for love, they completely overlook each other and they just never feel like they're a fit. They never feel like they're understood. The best way to attract love in your life is to show up as a loving presence already in your life. Love attracts love. We could take it even deeper, which is a keynote at point 4. And that would be to say that the best way to love somebody is to be willing to love everybody, because it's the nature of love to want to love everyone. One of the reasons why I think we run into such difficulty with love is that often we're only looking for one person to love. And that's not the nature of love. The nature of love is for all of us to love each other. And the more willing we are to love everybody, this is a deep spiritual love. It comes from the oneness. This actually places us very, very well then to enjoy a romantic love with one special person. But I advocate and always have really that the best way to find somebody to love is first be that loving presence yourself and be willing to love absolutely everybody first. It's in loving everyone that we learn to love someone.
So beautiful. And I love that it came up. It's really the medicine for all of us. And I love that it came up with type 4, because it gives me a chance to just add to what Robert's saying, that one of the powerful things about the Enneagram in general, and we're going to see it especially in the journey of love, is how it helps us illuminate the behaviors and the choices that we're making and the kind of unconscious knee-jerk reactions and defense mechanisms and compensations from a completely non-shamed base and non-shamed orientation. There's like an objective, compassionate platform. And so it's true that the 4, knowing that this oneness is possible, in many ways, this is the gift of the 4. You know, I often say that they hand you an apple and they might as well have been handing you all the treasure of the world, even if the apple has a bruise on it, because it's like they're still touching the stardust, you know, of the original Big Bang that is the oneness that all of us are, and they so want to bring it into life. And I think that, you know, they know this oneness is there. They know that oneness is possible. And so what their fear-based personality does is sort of try to reject, in a way, the ordinary, what's happening in this world that isn't remembering this oneness. And then what they do inside of themselves is develop this kind of yearning for the one thing, the one person, the one, you know, breakthrough, the one something that is the thing that is the thing they want to get back to. And they kind of idea. So they go into a pattern of like idealizing someone. Oh my God, this is the one. And then when they get close enough, there can be like a fear that comes up. No, 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 this isn't beautiful enough. It's not ephemeral enough. This person isn't understanding this depth of this stardust enough. And so then there can become a rejection, or in the middle of all of that can be an envy even of, this person seems to have it together and I don't have what it takes. And so this whole journey of the four has a lot to do with idealization and rejection and envy, and a kind of a splitting off from the ordinary world and trying to be in the extraordinary world. And Robert has just described so beautifully what can happen for the four and what can happen for the four in all of us. When we learn that love is not something to find, it's something that we are, then we become love, and then we're not missing anything. And then we're not yearning anymore, and then we can just love whatever it is that there is to love. So I think in the course we will be going through that kind of pathway with each type in quite a lot of detail and depth, and experientially too, like using the objectivity and the compassion of the Enneagram to attend to these shadows and wounds that are very, very difficult and can take years. And the Enneagram can just sort of help us move through them much more quickly.
Thank you both. Our next question. I am fascinated by Robert Holden's work with corporations, and I'm curious how the topic of teachings around love fit into a corporate environment.
Great question. Thank you for that question. Well, my feeling is that love is relevant everywhere, and because love is intelligent, and when we apply the intelligence of love to any situation, good things are going to come from it. So when I'm teaching leadership in organizations like IBM or Unilever or Virgin or Google, I'm very upfront with talking about how, for me, to be a leader, you have to be willing to be the most loving person in the room. You have to be willing to be receptive to love, being willing to be guided by love, and fundamentally, that's I think how we lead. Leadership itself is a path of growth. All of the leaders that I've had the privilege of coaching over the years are always riding the wave of their own personal development, and they're always growing beyond their own image of themselves into a more full expression of who they really are. And it's natural, it's inevitable that we end up talking about love together. I suppose where I did this the most was with a project with Dove and the Real Beauty campaign, where we really put love at the great center of the work. And we started to talk about how we could use the brand to express more love in the world. For example, through research, we discovered that when women read their favorite beauty magazines, over 80% of the women feel less beautiful after they've read the magazine than before, because they're comparing themselves. And they're often comparing themselves to people who don't really exist, or at least to images that don't really exist, because these images have been essentially doctored. They've been worked with graphically and also cosmetically as well. And so we really wanted to set the record straight there, and that felt like an act of love. One of the great missions at Dove actually was, let's create products that the women in our life that we really love will want to use. So once we start to apply love, I think, to any situation, that then takes us on a track which I think is far more creative, far more honest as well, by the way. I mean, even a simple question like, what do we love about what we do? What do we love about the service we offer? What do we love about the product we offer? And even what is it that our clients love about us? When you start asking questions like that, like love demands a certain level of honesty from us all. If we're too afraid to talk about love, well, I always point out, then we're not really playing at our optimum level. And it's important that we find the courage to talk more openly about love, and also just to recognize really that the great work on this planet is to love each other, obviously, because we want this world to be able to essentially evolve in the direction of love. Most of the work that I'm doing at the moment in leadership is very much to do with climate change. And I think, have acknowledged now that there's enough information out in the world to actually, for all of us to make a change. And yet the change isn't happening. Why is that? Well, in part, and even scientists are beginning to see the link here, until we learn to love ourselves, we're not going to love the planet. What we have to do is be willing to love ourselves so that we want to love the planet. So essentially what we have to do somehow is to affect a climate change from fear to love inside ourselves, so that we show up with enough courage to be able to be a loving presence in the world. So right now, as far as I'm concerned, every talk on leadership is really a talk about love. And whenever I'm giving a talk about love, I feel it's really a talk about leadership.
Thank you so much. Jessica, do you have anything to add to that before we move to our next question?
Well, I'm so moved, first of all. This is part of why Robert and Russ and I not only had a great desire or love the idea of teaching with each other, but it's why it's a necessity, because we want love to be as big as it really is. And that means reconstellating everything that we do in life from within the orientation of love. You know, the way we sweep a floor to the way that we talk in a boardroom with other, executives, to the way we parent, to the way that we write an essay, to the way that we make decisions about what we buy. Everything needs to be reconstellated from within the orientation of love for this human species to make the quantum shift that is needed. And I think Robert has just given an intensely inspiring, actualized, because it's already being done by him and others, example of what a difference it can make on our planet. And I don't think it's too small to say that, as Pierre de Chardin said, that at some point in life, humanity may discover the power of love. And then the second revolution will happen, the first having been the discovery of fire. So I love that Robert is saying that if we're going to be a leader, we should be the most loving person in every room. I love that he's saying that we are all leaders. It's time, all hands on deck, everybody. We all have a circle of influence, a ministry, if you will, where if we are more loving, it will help others relax. Polyvagal theory tells us that when other people feel loved and they feel safe, their nervous system, their autonomic nervous system gets reset, and they are able to resource more of their own creativity so that they too can be leaders in love. And I just know that this inquiry into love is critical for a real quantum shift in consciousness that's needed. And this is why Russ and Robert and I actually feel like it would have been hubris, arrogance, to even think that we could take this on as one teacher in and of ourselves, because we all need to say yes, to surrender to as big as love really is, and to see how it's shining through different facets of the diamond, through different people. And I think Robert's just been a great example of
Thank you both. And thank you, Jessica, for the call to participation and creation in that, both of you. I do want to mention that we were unable to bring Russ on due to some technical difficulties, so Russ will definitely be joining us for the course. We do apologize, so I wanted to let everyone know that. However, we are here with Jessica Dibb and Robert Holden, learning about their course, Living as Love with the Guidance of the Enneagram, which begins on Thursday the 12th. Please log on to livingaslovewithenneagram.com for details and to register. All right, let's go to our next question. As a 2 with a 3 wing, how can I overcome my tendency to get into codependent relationships?
So, the 2, all of the heart triads, but certainly the 2 has the most awareness in their conscious psyche about the importance of love in the world. They're like cheerleaders for the importance of love. And they really, really try very hard to be a loving presence. And you probably already know this, but we'll just say it to kind of lay the groundwork or the field for talking about this question, that love is not love unless it loves everything. And so what the 2 tends to do is leave out themselves from the equation of love. And so it's almost like the 2 is struggling and fighting and striving and creating for others, for love to be felt by others and in the environment so strongly, and leaving themselves out. And I think one of the biggest wake-up calls for a 2 is to realize that as nurturing and as sweet and as kind and as intelligent and as loving as our actions may be, if we are not loved while we're doing that, if the 2 is not considering all the time what their life needs for well-being, what their life, their heart needs for a sense of fulfillment, of expressing their real gifts, if they aren't visioning for their own life, like what is the way that they can uniquely contribute, then it isn't actually true love. It's partial love. It's still conditional love. And what the 2 really wants, and I think every 2 heart speaks, sings to this and thrills to this, is that they want everyone to experience unconditional love, so they must include themselves. And so if you are a 2, one of the most important spiritual practices that you can do is every time that you are wanting to give to somebody, support somebody, help somebody with a project, a need, that you pause, you take 3 deep breaths to reset your autonomic nervous system, to make sure that your social engagement network is fully on board, that you're feeling your own body. And you ask yourself the question, how am I needing to also care for myself and support myself while I am caring for this other person or supporting this other person? And it's sometimes the answer is going to be that actually we shouldn't support or care for them. That's also a very hard lesson for a 2, because as long as we're what we call leaning in to the other and coming out of our own bodies, we don't actually know completely what the other person needs. It's a little bit of our projection of what they need. As brilliant as the 2 is, and they are brilliant, no doubt about it. Don Riso used to say that the 2, nobody will love you like 2. But as long as there's that leaning in thing and the leaving ourselves, it's going to be off, even just a slight bit, if not a large bit. So coming into the self, feeling ourselves as the field of love, as part of the field of love, and then asking what wants to be done for the other and ourselves simultaneously. And I will say two other quick things. One is that, Russ has pointed this out many times, is that he's known many a two, and this has been my experience as well, known many twos that had great talents. I knew a two, for instance, who has potential as a actual skill as a world-class artist, museum-level art. And that was completely buried for 4 decades because of this leaning in to the other. We've talked about that that twos can be brilliant at math, but they won't necessarily go there until they feel how it is that love wants to express itself through their contribution, not just through the other's contribution. And so this is a small practice, but I just offer it to all the twos out there. And really, this is a practice for everybody. That you would just feel your love for someone else and put your hands out like this. And that you would feel yourself so willing to love that person. And then take a deep breath and just move your hands to yourself and pour the same amount of energy down through your own body. And then come back out again and then back in. And you begin to feel how love is not wanting to have one person loved and not the other. And so you can even sort of do this kind of infinity symbol of back and forth until you realize that love is a quality of being. It's not just about a giving or a receiving. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you so much. We've been having many questions, and I'm excited for your answer. I have an idea here. We've had many questions asking, how will this course differ from other Enneagram courses that you've taught?
So maybe I'll just start with that, Robert, but then I would really like you to add, because I think you have a real vision about where this course is going. And some people might have taken other courses with Russ and I. So we feel that there is a level of love, that the actualization of love has yet to be completely lived into and articulated and received. And this is why we're talking about the journey to love is one thing. That's where we all know that love would be a little better than not love, or a lot better. And so we sort of seek after it in different ways, in relationship, in vocation, in going to teachers and therapy and all of that. And then there's the journey with love, which is when we know that love is inspiring. We know that love would give us greater guidance. So we do things like, well, how can I be more loving in this relationship? Or how can I bring more love to my work? The ultimate thing, though, is living as love. And that is actually being love, regardless of the circumstance, the situation, the person, the time. And we feel like the Enneagram, even this is part of why the three of us are teaching together, that the depths of the Enneagram's wisdom to actually inviting us to live as love is still to be experienced. So we're going to be exploring with all of you. We imagine we're going to be growing radically. The orientation to look at the Enneagram from the vantage point of love, living as love, not just relationships or to love or with love, is a movement towards unmasking an even greater level of fear. The depths of our fear, our wound, and tapping into the creative life force that wants to come through each one of us. So we are quite certain that with that vision, to be, as Robert likes to say, to be as large as love really is, and the fact that the course itself is so comprehensive that it takes us through the shadow to the wound, but relationships, roles, relatedness, leadership, sensuality and sexuality, participation in the world, collective creativity, and social interaction, social activism. And I'm not even naming all of the things we feel. We are so excited. We know that we're entering into an exploration that we wanted to find in the world. We would have taken this course from anyone, and we're sort of humbled ourselves that we even sit here with all of you and engage in this, but we know that we are going to grow profoundly. This is not something that we've ever been able to teach before. Robert, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. I think in our free class that we gave, I made the point that we're not really looking for a bunch of students for this program. We want co-creators. We want people who are already stepping forward in their life as a presence of love in their community. We want to attract people who are dedicated already to the idea that they're here to love and serve the world somehow. We want to attract people who are feeling inspired and brave enough to make some sort of a difference in the world. You know, we have this strange experience in the world where for most of us, we don't feel we have the leaders that really reflect our true values. We, for the most of us, know that love is the greatest thing, and yet the world is still, for the large part, dominated by fear. It's almost as if we can't recognize ourselves in this world somehow. This world really does seem like a strange place to be, and it doesn't really seem to mirror who we know we truly are. It essentially feels like something is missing. And so what's missing? It must be us. It must be us that's missing. We're the ones who are called to step forward more and more fully than ever before. Stepping forward by yourself is super scary and almost impossible. But to step forward in community with a group of people who are willing to be honest and courageous and as loving as possible, well, that's different, you know. And then we all stand a chance, I think, to be able to do that. And really, I see this program more like a movement rather than just a training. I see it as an opportunity for us all to be able to set a goal for ourselves, which says that through this program, I will find a way to express love more fully, more completely, more deeply than ever before. I'll find a way, with love's help, to meet my fears, to meet my doubts, and meet my concerns, my anxiety, and find this way to show up more fully in the world, so that this world can start to feel more like a home rather than a dodgy neighborhood that we just want to leave as soon as possible. I'm sure that's the goal. The three of us are very, very committed to the idea of the ethos of an incarnational spirituality. This work isn't meant for a subculture. It's meant for the mainstream. And the more of us who are willing to make love the heart of politics, the heart of medicine, the heart of economics, then I think, you know, that bodes well for now, but also for our future and for the generations to come.
Thank you both so much. And thank you, Robert. It's so exciting for me, this beautiful call to participation and creating something so beautiful together. I really feel how unique and special this is, and I'm very excited. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge and say we are sorry that Russ is not able to join us. We had some technical difficulty getting him on. He is definitely a part of this course and one of the 3 wonderful faculty. So just reassurance there. And we do have time for a few more questions. But before we take those, I do want to share a few details about living as love with the guidance of the Enneagram. So this, as we were just talking about, is going to be a truly unique 4 months where you're going to have an opportunity to be in conversation with 3 of the most relevant voices today related to the Enneagram. This course is comprised of 19 modules and will take place on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, starting March 12th. Now, you're going to be receiving you'll be receiving audio and video replays of each of our sessions, transcripts, and all other materials through the course homepage. Also, I'd like to remind you that we offer a no-risk money-back guarantee on our courses, giving a full 2 weeks until March 26th to make sure you absolutely love it. And as an added option, all participants are welcome to connect to a private Facebook community group that we create, and it's a way for you to stay connected and share one another's experience and really support one another on this journey. And everyone who registers receives a Living as Love with the Guidance of the Enneagram bonus collection. Let me just tell you quickly what's in this collection. It's wonderful. We have the union of breakthrough and the Enneagram, inhaling everything and creation, exhaling the void and oneness. This is a video conversation with Jessica and Russ. We also have the 9 breathing practices and body awareness, a video and audio practice from Jessica. We have the Enneagram and Purpose, audio dialogue with Robert and Russ. And we have actualizing a deep love for couples through the Enneagram. This is a recording with Jessica and guest couples. We also have Inner Work and the Instincts. This is a video teaching with Russ and Jessica. So as you can tell, we have quite a few bonuses with this course. And when you register by midnight Pacific, March 5th, that's today, you'll receive the Virtues, the Alchemy of the 9 Awakened Heart Qualities. This is an audio conversation between Jessica and Russ, where you'll discover the more honest and authentic you are in your self-expression, the more you discover the core suffering, passion. As your suffering is healed, your heart transforms and awakens to its true capacity, called virtue. A virtue. All right, that is what I wanted to share with you. Let's go ahead and go to our next question. Coming in, can knowing your Enneagram type help to zero in on one's soul essence and purpose?
Well, that is a resounding yes. In fact, it was only in the 20th century that the Enneagram of personality really became the focus for a while. And it's been extremely useful to link the wisdom of the Enneagram that's been come from ancient times, to modern psychology, and to understand what it is that we do with our natural gifts, our natural temperament too. And in terms of the formation of an ego, and it's so instructive to see how when fear is running all of that, we do things that take us away from the very things that we want in life and take us away from our true self, as Robert was saying, and our true potential. And the original purpose of the Enneagram was for the development of the soul. It was for, and we often call these qualities of the soul, or these qualities of life itself, as they embody in the soul in a human being, we often call them essence. And all 3 of us are committed. We feel this is one, the Enneagram is restructuring the way we even look at our egoic journey or our psychological journey, from the place of looking at what our deepest gifts are, what our deepest potential is, and how each type is remembering an aspect of life itself, of creativity, of the divine, if you will, is remembering that and wanting to, and it embodies it and wants to be a champion for it. And what's powerful about looking at the fears and then the compensating mechanisms and defenses, the fixation, and all of the things that happen that we get to look at through the Enneagram is that we get to see how that's masking the very power and potential of the thing that our heart most wants to bring to the world. So absolutely, the Enneagram, in my mind, this is its greatest wealth, is that it connects us to our essential self, our deepest gifts, our souls. It even shows us how we have, Robert mentioned about spiritual, that we're all committed to the incarnation of the spiritual. I think another one of the greatest gifts of the Enneagram is that it shows us how even our orientation towards spirituality or towards the divine, and even if you want to just call that the force, or the biophysics of life, has been very limited by the fear in our personality and what it's willing to see and not see, and what it's willing to engage and not engage about life, and that we can begin to understand that we've been somewhat spiritually poverty-stricken, that we've only seen or experienced certain aspects of that whatever it is that's larger than ourselves, that divine quality. And the Enneagram helps us not only open up to our essence and our soul gifts and embodying those, but also what are all the soul gifts and what is this power that is greater than ourselves that animates the world. I think this is really the true purpose of the Enneagram at core.
Yeah, we are completely at one with the focus on the soul, essentially, as being our true identity. The Enneagram actually doesn't type you, it types your personality. It can't type the soul, which is your essence. The Enneagram's actually here to teach you how to be untypable, because the soul is obviously infinite and eternal. It can be experienced, but it can't be defined. So really, the Enneagram is here to help us be more soulful in our experience, if you like, of ourselves, but also in the work we do, in the relationships we experience. It really is about welcoming and inviting the soul in more fully and more completely. The Enneagram takes us on a journey which is really focused around a key word, which is metanoia. And metanoia is an ancient Greek word which really denotes an inner shift or even a holy shift. And it is the shift from being a body with a soul to realizing actually we are a soul with a body. So absolutely one of the great keynotes of really true study of the Enneagram is to help us connect to our soulful nature and to express, as Jessica said so beautifully, to express these soul gifts more fully and more completely in our relationships, in our work, and in our life.
Thank you both. And I'm looking at the time, and I know we will wrap up shortly. And Jessica, I have a question for you. You've taught so many courses with us. What are you most excited about sharing in this class with those who take this journey?
Well, Robert, when we were all speaking together and feeling into this course coming into manifestation and being created to co-create with everybody, Robert coined so well that we were wanting to experience life in which we were letting love be as big as it really is. And that really speaks to my heart and my soul and my sensibility, because it is absolutely clear that the people that have made the biggest shift on this planet for humanity, people that have elevated healthcare, people that have elevated social structures, people that have elevated the quality of how we relate to one another, people that have elevated our capacity to see our common humanity and forge pathways of not only compassion but partnership, and so much more that I could talk about. All of those people, whether they were a mom in a home or a baker, that everyone just felt better when they did, ate the bread, or they were the Nelson Mandelas and the Mahatma Gandhis and Florence Nightingales and Mother Teresa's, et cetera, the Jesuses and Mohammeds and Buddhas and so many other people. They all come from love. And it isn't about, they don't have love be something that they find with one other person or a few other people, as Einstein said, that just those close to us that we make special and define as love. These are people that became love itself, and they changed the world. We are at a time when we need to have our world change very rapidly, and we can do it. We can absolutely do it, because each one of us is a holographic image of the entire universe. And so as all of those people did, each one of us can make that change in our life. So I am so excited about creating this living community, this movement, as Robert says, of living as love. And just having the Enneagram be this incredible partner for that, because again, it offers us to see our shadows, our wounds, our blind spots, from a perspective of non-shaming, of objective and compassionate point of view. So I know that coming out of this course, I feel strongly that we will have ignited a field, ignited a community of love leaders, of love activists.
Oh, Jessica, that's so inspiring, and I thank you. Love activist, and it's just such a beautiful, again, call to participate and create. And I want to thank everyone for joining us. Living as Love with the Guidance of the Enneagram. It begins Thursday, March 12th. Again, please visit livingасlovewithenneagram.com to learn more and register. And if you do so by midnight, March 5th, you'll receive the special bonus, The Virtues, the Alchemy of the 9 Awakened Heart Qualities. Goodness. So I would love to just ask both of you if you have some final closing words for our listeners before we close for today.
Well, I already know about some of the people that have signed up, because they're telling me that they've signed up, and we are attracting precisely the people we want. It is the people who are committed to really taking that next step in their relationship with love, so that they can embody this love more fully and more completely for their family, in their friendships, and of course also in their work, that we can somehow have love be our purpose. So I'm super inspired already to be part of this faculty, but I'm watching as people are signing up, and I'm really, really inspired by the people that are coming along too. And so I know that this program is going to be bigger than all of us, which is always a good sign. And I'm suitably nervous to be one of the presenters on the program, in the sense that I know that in order to play my part in this program, I'm going to have to step up. I'm going to have to grow. I'm going to have to make a commitment, which is precisely why I teach. And I'm just looking forward to being with you all.
Robert, I just love that you shared that you were nervous about, sort of being on the faculty and teaching, because what was coming up for me is that, first of all, I think of all of you, and I think of all the people around the globe from many countries, probably over 100 countries, that will take this course. And I know that each one of you has a life, a life in which you love and you make food and you receive and give and you affect people and you do projects and who knows, there's all kinds of things. And I think about how much wisdom you already have. I think about how much love you already allow to be in you and manifest in your life. And I just become filled with joy about how, again, this learning community that we will have in which we will be learning and becoming love right along with you. And I think we will ignite each other. And one of the beauties of this course is that it's going to allow as much sort of solitude, if you will, as much sort of being in this and a meditation of one's own, or as much engagement and exposure and even, dare I say, vulnerability with one another, because you can take the course and just listen and never write in or ask a question or show up on the Facebook page, and I know you will be making a tremendous difference. Or maybe like Russ and Robert and I, you may engage with writing in and coming in at the Q&A. And I'm feeling right now how I am challenged in a very beautiful way that my soul really desires by being in community with all of you around that, because I will have to show up. And even if I think about Robert and Russ, Robert mirrors for me. There is a part of my heart that so wants to be a force of support for others in the world, and a force of faith in them, a force of believing in the goodness in them and the promise of them. And I already feel that way. And yet when I'm around Robert, he so embodies that quality that I am humbled. And I realized I could even have a next level of that. And so I already know in so many ways that he will make my heart grow into a more authentic vehicle of love. And with Russ, I already have a part of my heart that desires so strongly to be effective, to bring something that actually is truth. The truth shall set you free. And I'm constantly searching for how to receive that truth, how to recognize that truth, how to articulate that truth. And so I already feel like, I'm doing that. But when I'm in the presence of Russ, I am challenged. I see him doing that at such levels that I realize, okay, there's even a next level of this for me. And if that's just a microcosm of what's going to happen in this course, how we're all going to be inspiring each other in this way, it's a treasure. And I will be honored and humbled to join with any of you on this journey to live as love.
Thank you so much. I am so excited about this opportunity to awaken and co-create. And I want to give an assurance that Russ will definitely be joining us for the teaching, even though he wasn't able to be with us today. Oh, goodness. So Thank you all so much. Thank you both.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie. Your hosting has been an act of love, and I deeply appreciate it.
Thank you both. I'm so excited to reconnect with you next week. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. On behalf of all of us at the Shift Network, I wish you well, and I look forward to having you on this course or one in the future. Thank you.